We're indeed very fortunate to have Sri Pinak Chakravarti, Special Secretary, Public Diplomacy, Ministry of External Affairs, here with us today. Mr. Chakravarti joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1977. He has served both at the Ministry of External Affairs, New Delhi, and Indian missions abroad, including in Cairo, Jeddah, and London. He was Consul General of India in Karachi between 1994 and 1995, Minister at the Indian Embassy in Tel Aviv from 1995 to 99, and later served as Deputy High Commissioner of India in Dhaka from 1999 to 2002. At headquarters, he served as the Deputy Chief of Protocol, Director in the Americas Division, as also Director, SAARC Summit Secretariat in 1995 in New Delhi. He was the Chief of Protocol in New Delhi from 2002 to 2006 and was nominated as Ambassador to Philippines, but later moved to Bangladesh, where he served as a High Commissioner from 2007 to 2009. Between 2010 and 2011, he served as Ambassador to Thailand. May I now request Mr. Chakravarti to please deliver the keynote address.
I'm one of those who has to take off his specs to read, so maybe I'm too fortunate enough to do that. Dr. Gupta, Dr. Osterman, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen. I've been a member of IDSA since the day I joined service, so that's something that I share with all of you. And it's always a great thing to come back here and to attend all the discussions. I think IDSA used to be in Safru House at one time till it moved to this magnificent building. I must thank IDSA for inviting me to this seminar, and I'm very pleased to be here. It is very encouraging that IDSA has organized this seminar on early years of nuclear cooperation and non-proliferation, focusing in particular on nuclear historicities. India has had a long-standing policy on nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament. Though India has responded to a changing international environment, there has been a sustained continuity and consistency in our policies. The shifting center of gravity in the balance of power from the west to the east in the post-Cold War period and clandestine nuclear and missile proliferation globally, as well as in our region, have inexorably changed the global and regional security calculus for India. For years, nuclear weapons and strategic missiles have worked as the objective currency of state power. Proliferation of nuclear weapons and missile technologies in India's neighborhood has sharpened India's security concerns. Moreover, proliferation risk of these weapons and technologies falling into the hands of terrorists and non-state actors has further complicated our security calculus. Imagine what could have happened to Bombay if those guys had a nuclear weapon. So this doesn't take a great leap of imagination to think about. To address its legitimate security concerns, India updated and validated its nuclear capability in 1998 after almost a quarter century of self-imposed restraint. India's nuclear policy remains firmly rooted in the basic tenet that our country's national security in a world of nuclear proliferation lies either in universal non-discriminatory disarmament or in the exercise of the principle of equal and legitimate security for all. India's nuclear doctrine, therefore, includes no first use of nuclear weapons and non-use of nuclear weapons against a non-nuclear weapon state. India has consistently supported the goal of universal, non-discriminatory and verifiable elimination of nuclear weapons, leading to global disarmament in a time-bound framework. President Abdul Kalam once said that India can live without nuclear weapons. That is our dream. And that should be the dream of the USA and other countries as well. India has a proven and impeccable non-proliferation record and has contributed to global non-proliferation efforts and is committed to promoting and working with the international community in advancing the common objectives of global non-proliferation and international security. As early as 1948, India called for limiting the use of atomic energy for peaceful purposes only and the elimination of atomic weapons from national arsenals. During the 50s, when several hundred nuclear weapons were tested above ground, India took the lead in calling for an end to all nuclear weapons testing. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru called for a ban on nuclear testing in 1954. In 1964, after China tested its nuclear weapon, India's security concerns sharpened and increased. In 1978, India proposed negotiations on an international convention that would prohibit the use or threat of use of nuclear weapons. This was followed by another initiative in 1982 calling for a nuclear freeze. That is, prohibition on the production of fissile material for weapons, on production of nuclear weapons and related delivery systems. In June 1988, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi presented to the United Nations General Assembly an action plan for ushering a nuclear weapon-free and non-violent world order, with the aim to eliminate all nuclear weapons in 3 stages by 2010. In our 2006 working paper on nuclear disarmament in the UN General Assembly, we made specific proposals towards achieving this goal, including negotiating a nuclear weapons convention. Since 2002, India has been piloting a UN First Committee resolution on measures to prevent terrorists from acquiring WMDs, which is traditionally adopted by consensus. India has contributed to the success of the Nuclear Security Summit and has given $1 million for the IAEA's Nuclear Security Fund. As announced during the first summit in April 2010, India is establishing a global center for nuclear energy partnership to facilitate international cooperation and provide assistance in building global capacity in areas such as advanced nuclear energy systems, nuclear security, radiation safety, and the application of radioisotopes and radiation technology. The goal of nuclear disarmament can be achieved by a step-by-step process underwritten by a universal commitment and an agreed multilateral framework towards global and non-discriminatory elimination of nuclear weapons. There is need for dialogue among all states possessing nuclear weapons to build trust and confidence and develop consensus towards global nuclear disarmament. India supports the universalization of the policy of no first use of nuclear weapons. India also believes that the salience of nuclear weapons in national defense and security doctrines must be reduced as a matter of priority. The conclusion of the Civil Nuclear Initiative in 2008 brought to an end the era of nuclear apartheid against India. It is a measure of its success that India became a full participant in the international nuclear mainstream as a full partner, even though it remained outside the NPT with nuclear weapons. This is largely due to India's record and credibility as a partner in the non-proliferation regime, the logical conclusion of which would be India's membership of the 4 international export control regimes. When that happens, India's status would have come a full circle. It is understandable that the historical evolution of our nuclear policy and development of strategic thinking in this area is a matter of considerable academic interest. We are conscious of the fact that knowledge and understanding of our nuclear policy, including the thinking that went into making policy decisions, especially in the early years, will go a long way in understanding of our past policies and their current status. We welcome academic inquiry and analysis on this subject. Seemingly, India stood alone in pursuing a nuclear policy seen by many as idealistic or even naive. We, however, remain convinced that we are on the right side of history. There are many quotations on history and archives. George Santayana's famous one on those who don't learn from history are condemned to repeat it. And then Aldous Huxley said that one of the most important lessons of history is that we don't learn from history. I now turn to the legislative framework on declassification of official papers. Our declassification process is guided by the Public Records Act of 1993 and the Public Record Rules framed in 1997. As per the Public Records Act 1993, the government has to declassify or open its records after 25 years. After the enactment of the Right to Information Act in 2005, this limit has been reduced to 20 years. I do not know whether the government has fulfilled its commitment to declassify all the records. Clearly it has not, but some records have been declassified. And after coming to Delhi and taking over the public diplomacy charge here, thanks to Arvind who egged me on and nudged me, saying you must do something about this. So what we have done is we have given a major thrust to the declassification efforts of our ministry, the Ministry of External Affairs. Recently, 70,000 files were declassified. Of these, 12,388 have been physically handed over to the National Archives. These are all digitized also, and those which have not been physically transferred are also available on request, and people can see them. These files include more than 3,000 files relating to North and South America, 1,095 files relating to Eurasia, more than 1,700 files relating to the United Nations, 702 files on Pakistan, Iran and Afghanistan, more than 5,100 files on policy planning and research. I'm sure that researchers as well as academics will find these files a useful reservoir of information. We have also indexed these files based on subject matter, and the whole classification scheme was brought into an online format. Those of you who have seen our website, indiandiplomacy.in, will go to one of the boxes at the corner there and click on archives. I think you will be able to see some of those. There's a searchable software, and you will at least know what kind of files are available. And you can search for these files by giving a search word. And once you've chosen the file, you have to approach the National Archives for viewing it physically. The detailed procedure for getting access to the files of the National Archives is also available on the website. In future, we will work to have all the declassified files available online. We are currently in the process of finalizing a major project to declassify another set of 220,000 files. That's 220,000 files. Records covering Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Pakistan, Iran, Sri Lanka, East Asia, Eurasia, and the Americas. This is the first time in many years that we have taken the initiative to declassify such a large number of files from the archives of the Ministry of External Affairs. Unfortunately, that is the scope of our charter, only the Ministry of External Affairs. And I think if other ministries follow suit, I think you will have a huge reservoir of information available. IDSA's initiative to focus on the early nuclear age in respect of India's aspirations to achieve a nuclear weapons-free world while at the same time maintaining its nuclear options is a very welcome move. India walked the difficult line between principle and pragmatism. The dynamics of our foreign and security policy were greatly influenced by our need to secure strategic autonomy in a nuclearized international system. India's nuclear policy is thus unique and deserves focused study. I wish your deliberations success. Thank you very much.